Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys once again. We're here on the Lines We Cross podcast. I'm Jay Lewis Brooks. On the end, we got
Coach Shake. Why your voice sound like that?
because I've been coaching. I've been passionate.
I'm so glad you're back in the lines. I'm so glad.
I had to preach Sunday, and my voice gone.
I'm so glad you're back in the lines.
It's all worth it for the people and for the kids. But as y'all can see, it's not about us. Y'all see, we got a special guest in the middle here, and if you don't know who she is, she's gonna let you know who she is. Can you please introduce yourself, special guest?
Thank y'all for having me. I'm Dr. Tanya Webb, and I am the new principal at Houston MSTC High School.
Come on, y'all, give it up for her, There's new things happening on this campus. Since I've been here, I got here last year. There's a lot of great things happening last year when I came, but I'm excited to see the direction that we're going this year with the new systems and stuff that's being implemented. So today we got an opportunity to hear a little bit about what you got planned and what you want to do. So first question would be, first off, welcome. And what the main question the listeners would like to know is, what led you into education and what inspired you to step into the role of being a principal?
That's a great question. Thinking back to my journey to here, I guess, I kind of always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I love learning. I loved to read when I was younger, and I had some really great teachers as well when I was coming up. And so naturally, as I started to get older, I found a lot of success academically while I was still pursuing some of my more creative passions. Like I love to sing, I love to paint, but I would always come back to this idea of learning. And because I was an Army brat, which is somebody whose parent is in the military, I just moved around a lot and went to a lot of different types of schools. So I got to experience the world from quite a few different, lenses, depending on where we were living at that time.
You bringing perspective to the table, okay?
Perspective, yes, definitely. And so I don't know. I guess just as I got older and I started going to school, I did my undergrad at Texas Southern, and I did 2 more degrees at University of Houston. Once I moved away from San Antonio, it's kind of like the last place that we were stable, like living for several years, because my dad was in the military, like I said. So going to college as well, just kind of seeing how that opened up so many other opportunities for me. The different types of jobs that I held, first in the hospitality industry, and then got into teaching. I went back to that love of, like, I love to learn, I love to help other people learn. So I think it's just, the kind of trajectory that my life took, the schools I went to, the teachers I had, and then feeling like I wanted to participate in that. That all led me to this point of being an educator. So then I taught for 8 years, and I just naturally started to step into those roles of leadership, those opportunities to share my opinion about how a system worked or help with the kid that somebody else wasn't very successful with, et cetera. So all of that, plus being in school, getting my master's in educational leadership and my doctorate later, all of that has led to kind of this moment where now I'm at Houston MSTC High School.
Yeah, we here, y'all. We here. So, hey, did you hear that she said she could sing? So, can we hear something?
On the spot.
Not today. Okay, we gonna rain check the singing. We gonna rain check that.
That's what be part 2.
I literally sing at church every week. So if y'all want to come, I will invite you to church.
Come on, bless the Lord.
We all coming. The whole team coming.
Okay, I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's nice. So I like how you mentioned that you started off just in the classroom, teaching the students, being a leader. But it seemed like as time went on, you become a leader amongst leaders. You start to cultivate, and you gain the talents to teach leaders. And it seems like as a principal, that's what you're bringing to the table here now, to help us with our systems and to help leaders be better leaders.
Well, she helped me already.
Thank you, Coach Shake. I definitely feel like, yes, there were opportunities for me to step up and help my campuses in a way. I know at one point, I think the reason that I ended up falling in love with educational leadership is because I had great leaders leading me. So it had to come from somewhere. I'm happy that I got the training that I got, the coaching that I got, being receptive to that, all of those things just helped me kind of figure out what is my philosophy, what do I believe to be true about education and educational leadership. I firmly believe that if kids have great educations, they have more opportunities. So we can't make that happen for them if we don't lead our schools well, if we don't hire the right teachers, if we don't have program opportunities for them. None of those things come true. And so it is our responsibility to be leaders, whether we hold the titles or not, so that our kids can then have, just more access. They need more access to what's out there, because a lot of times their perspective is very limited to just their neighborhood or their environment, et cetera. So I know we kind of talking about a lot of things, but yes, I think it is our responsibility to know what it means to lead, and more importantly, why you lead. It's got to be about a bigger picture, and it's got to be about the kids. So
you sound like a coach.
Well, I consider myself an instructional coach.
I would say
she sounds like a coach.
Yeah.
Is a coach.
Yes,
I do consider myself an instructional coach. It's one of my favorite parts about being in a school is being able to go to people's classrooms and seeing the great things that they're doing. I love to see people growing and feeling like they're getting better. Because then it leads to a greater and more positive impact for the students.
So I like to focus on, I feel like people always follow somebody, like the students, like you mentioned, you became an educator because of the educators who were in your life. Mm-hmm. So we have an opportunity here to be that same vessel to other people. So my question would be to you today, as we talk about leadership, what is your leadership style, if you would per se have a style?
Yeah. Great question. I would hope that my leadership style is continuing to develop over time. I think, again, you have to, yes, know who you are, know your core value set, but then you also have to let other people kind of teach you what works and what doesn't work for them. If my job is to get results from other people, then my approach may not work for that person, so then I have to adjust. Because at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for the results, right? So I think... My style is probably I like to ask a lot of questions. I think inquiry is the best place to start, and just listen to understand. Don't listen to judge. Listen to try to understand. Ask the right questions of people and really get them to say, this is the thing, or this is my why, or whatever it is that you're trying to get at. You have to ask the right questions for that. And then it's about just finding out, where does that person need you to support them? Some people need a lot of support. Some people need very little support. So you really do have to be firm in your own belief set, but you have to be fluid enough that you can adapt your style to still help somebody be successful in whatever it is that they're working towards. So definitely like to listen, definitely like to ask questions, love to collaborate, love to see other people win. I think it's important to be a cheerleader when you're a leader. You have to make sure people feel motivated and positive. That's something I've had to learn over time. It's not always about the rigidness and the rules. It's sometimes just hey, you know what? That was good. What you did was really good. Right. I saw that small thing that you did. You did that change we talked about. I appreciate your effort. Is there any other way that I can help you continue to grow in that or whatever? So it's about trying to do that every day, trying to do a little bit every day with each person, and being visible. That is super important. I think listening to a lot of people, they sometimes feel like they don't see their principal because the principal's always so busy, or they don't see their assistant principal because they're busy. Sometimes it's enough to just walk around to everyone's classroom and say, good morning, how are you doing today? So that visibility is also a big part of my style. I want to be everywhere, and I want to know, is it going okay over here? Do you need anything over here? Okay. That's really important to me as a leader as well. So that doesn't nearly cover enough, but I don't want to keep going. So.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine. I like that's the rapport building, being visible. I know it's hard sometimes. You have meetings, paperwork, and all those things. But
she said that in one of the first meetings I went to. She felt like that was her knack, where she could bring people together, and that kind of stuck with me. I'm like, that's something I feel like this campus needs, somebody that can just start bringing everybody together, and I'm slowly starting to see it just from the few meetings we had, and I'm excited for Friday to kind of see, how it's just going to start turning, and it's just a good feel when you come to work, and it's a good place to come to work.
Yes.
Yeah, and the kids feel that too. We were talking about that. Something I really believe in is being a relator, finding, okay, this group is working on this group is working on this, here's where they intersect, let's bring them all together so they can have a conversation, because then they can work smarter and not harder. And all of that just yields to better results for the kids. Our energy stays up, the positivity stays up. It helps with the streamlining of the organizational piece. So all those things I think are key if our focus is really on students. If we're really student-centered, then that means the adults have to be on the same page. And that's part of the job of a relator, is like bring all those different adult pieces together to benefit the students.
So in other words, teamwork makes Sam Houston work. Teamwork makes Sam Houston work.
Teamwork is super important. Yeah, I've been talking to my AP team about that a lot. We have whatever everybody in the district calls an army of administrators here because we have so many, but there's a lot of work that goes into this school working. And I think if we're not willing to come together and understand the dynamics of how good teams work, we're just making our jobs harder. So it is important to me that our time does feel like it's team time. So we've really been like planning a good professional. I know people like the first thing we gotta do when we come back is come to in-service. I know, but we've been really trying to make it like, okay, you know, everybody's gonna have their classroom time and everyone is gonna have time to connect, and we got some food for y'all some of the time.
Food, hold on, wait, food.
Yeah.
I'm here.
We want y'all to feel welcome back and like ready to get into the work. Well, I say y'all, I mean like us. We're all on the same team. So I think we have a pretty good idea of like what we want that to look like. And I really hope people have a good response to it. But that's also part of being a leader, is being ready to adjust. So at the end of the day, everybody's going to be able to give me feedback. How did it go today? What worked for you and what didn't? We still have time to adjust by the time we get to the Monday in service. And so I want to model those things that I want to see happening in people's classrooms in real time, because I do think effective leaders should model what they want to see other people doing. So I really try to stay true to that as much as I can. Not perfect by any means, but you know, there are things that I want to keep working on as a leader.
So far, so good.
Okay.
I love it. I can say one thing that I really love about your leadership style, just in the brief talkings we had. I like the openness. Sometimes it's hard when you're in high positions or you have a lot of pressure to just really be open. But you see, your leadership style comes off as open, like you have an open door policy where if there's certain thing, I know going through the chain of command is still there, but it seems as if you have an open door policy, that you're open to things.
Yeah, I think that just goes back to my value for education and information. I think it's not just that knowledge is power. It's like, how do you apply that knowledge to then get what do you need? What do you need to have access to so you can be more successful? So, yes, I think if more people, I think if more people in education felt like things were a little bit more transparent for them, where they could ask questions, get that information, they would probably make more informed decisions, which again would just benefit our kids. And so I have to be willing to show my flaws. I have to be willing to say I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I will do better next time. Hold myself accountable if that's what I'm going to do when I go to other people's classrooms and in their roles. So if it doesn't start with me, I can't expect it to be existent in my building. Right. It's important to celebrate the wins, but it's also important to say like, hey, here's where we didn't do the best we could do, and that should always start with the person that's in charge.
Right, because it trickles down. Whatever standard that you hold yourself to or whatever you do, it always trickle down to the people underneath you. So I love it.
Oh yeah, your program, your building is a reflection of you. So I feel like as coaches, y'all know that better than anyone. When you see what's going on this defensive line, well, that was something that I could have coached them on. Or why their shots looking like that on the basketball courts, because you haven't told them they got to tuck that elbow in and flick that wrist, right? Whatever it is.
The fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
If we need another coach, we know where to find one at.
I'm going to be on the sideline. I'm going to coach on the sideline. Now you should have got that steal. Yeah, that's going to be me on the sideline. But yeah, it's definitely like that's a reflection of you and your coaching. Whatever you did or didn't do, you're going to see it come out in the people that you are assigned to support or lead. So
hey, I feel like this is gonna be like lean on me. Just like I think we have a big meeting in
chain the doors.
Everybody gonna hold hands and just be like, because I'm telling y'all, I've been this going on my 4th year, and it just like it's needed, and I just feel it. Like the kids want to be loved. My door always open, and I just get so much response from the kids, and I just be like, man, I want to do it, but we can't because we're tied to these constraints. And I just feel like you're gonna bring that different element to the school, and when the kids really get to dig into who you are and what's gonna happen under your leadership, the whole dynamic gonna change.
I mean, I really appreciate that, and I am very hopeful. I'm very optimistic about where the school year is going to go. I will say the reality is anybody can have a plan. Like, anybody can make a plan for something positive to happen. There still has to be buy-in. There still has to be teamwork. There still has to be follow-up and follow-through. You know, I'm one person in this entirely huge building. I know nothing is going to happen unless the staff, the team, the front office, the counselors, the custodians, the teachers, the apprentices, the learning coaches, everybody has to be involved in what's happening here, or it's not going to happen. It has actually very little to do with me. I can say the things, and then I'm going to do my best to commit to doing the things, right? But if everybody else isn't on board that train with me, then I'm just one person working really hard.
Everybody waiting for that one person.
That's fair. That's
fair. I love it because it's like now you get a new principle, but also what you're bringing is you're bringing a new vision. You're bringing a culture, and I love that. It's your job to cast a vision, but it's our job to take that vision and help bring it to life. So that's something that I'm really, really excited about this year. Yeah. Here at Sam. So that brings us. Y'all know this podcast is called The Lines We Cross. So we're gonna go a little deeper. All right. Okay. We'll go a little deeper. What is one line you think schools cross to get the results for their students? What's one line? And a line could be any difficult circumstance or challenge.
Yeah.
It can be just in general. It don't have to be Sam specific.
Yeah.
It can be just in general.
I think the places where I have seen success stories, the most success stories come out, number one, it starts with accepting the brutal reality of where you are. I think sometimes people just look at data and they're like, there's a story behind that data. Of course there's a story behind that data because that data represents actual students and their lives and like what goes on with them, but that doesn't change the brutal reality of that data. Right. And so it starts with just accepting this is how we performed at that time, right? So that's number one. I think campuses are more successful when they can accept where they performed at that time, whatever that assessment was or that benchmark was or whatever. And then number two, I think it's the understanding and acceptance that if you're going to be an educator who's effective, your life is about to be about sacrificial service.
Yes.
If you are not ready to sacrifice and serve, you're going to have a hard time, getting to that level of impact that you want to have. It's true. I have a family, and sometimes because I'm a principal, I don't see them until the end of the day, and it's not the most fun thing in the world, right? But thankfully, they have an understanding that I believe I'm really doing what God purposed for me to do, and so I'm going to do my best to do well in both places. I'm going to try to be a good wife. I'm going to try to be a good mom, but I'm also going to really try to be a good leader because all of those things matter. At the same time, my service, my sacrifice for this group is important to me, and it is important to me to be, the component that I am in my family and my household. So I think if people, want to see those levels of success, they've got to just embrace the idea what it means to be a servant, what it means to be to sacrifice that time that you want for yourself so that someone else can be elevated in their life.
We call this right here educational preaching, y'all. Hey. Welcome in. This is educational preaching here.
I thought we were just having a conversation.
We are, and this is the foundation of what we do, because I learned this a long time ago. I'm going in the year 21. I think I done lost count. I don't even want to count no more. I'll be 50 next year. One of the things I learned early on in my teaching career, being in the classroom before I got to just really step away from the classroom when I became upper level with athletics, was I used to always tell my teachers, hey, you have to know what you're dealing with. Learn your kids. You never know what these kids are going through before they cross your doorstep. And I think once they start taking that initiative to learn their kids, like, it just changes the perspective of teaching altogether. And it's one of my greatest gifts when I get to sit down and talk to a kid and help a kid. And I had a kid just call me, no lie, last week, Coach, you're one of the people that I looked up to. I'm in crisis. What can you help me? Of course. He asked me a question, I answered it, and it was just that simple, you know. But it felt good. It validated a little bit. He said, "Coach, you one of the people," and he called me. You know, so I feel like I'm doing something right, and that's just because I think I learned that a long time ago. You have to just listen and learn your kids.
I think you said quite a few really powerful things there, but what I really want to highlight from what you just said is this idea that you have learned to see your kids as people, as individuals who have their own problems, their own things that they're trying to navigate. Mm-hmm. That comes from a place of humility, which then empowers you to have empathy for other people. I may not ever know exactly what your situation is, but I can first sympathize that you're having a hard time with it, and then I can really try my hardest to figure out, well, if it were me, how would I be feeling in that? What would I want someone to do to help me? And that's where empathy comes in. But again, all of that comes from a place of humility. You know, you can't get there if you see yourself as, yes, we're an authority to our students, but especially at this age group where they're getting ready to transition. I hate when people say they're transitioning into the world. Like, they're in the world. They're experiencing the world every day, right? Yes. And their world as teenagers is just as valid as our world as adults. So how are we helping them to navigate into that well? I think it's just important to still have humility. Even though they are younger than us, they're looking to us for guidance, and they are much more likely to follow someone's guidance who they feel some kind of mutual respect or relationship or rapport with than someone who's always, coming at them in a way that's like, do what I said, do what I said. Yes, respect is very important, but would you rather be right, or would you rather have a relationship? Is one of my favorite questions that I ask people.
That's good.
It doesn't make sense to try to argue a kid down about something, and I've been guilty of it too. I'm an educator. I'm going on year 19. I've definitely been guilty of it myself. But I think those are the things that you try to learn. It's like, how do I do this a little bit better? And sometimes it's about, you know what? Maybe that child had a really rough start to their morning. And their anger is not at me. It's just at how their life is going at this moment. And why don't I try to help them navigate their emotions so they can get back to a state of regulation and the rest of their day is not messed up. And maybe maybe there's some hope for them to have a better end of their day or something like that. That to me goes beyond the scope of my role as a teacher, my role as a principal. And that's just me trying to help you become a better person, so that, you're having a positive impact on society. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. They're going to come, get older, and they're going to be the leaders of our society. And what have we done to help them impact it in a positive way? It comes from the way that we interact with them every single day.
You never know what moment that you're dealing with a kid that changes their life.
Exactly.
Never know.
Right. And that moment can be any time, any interaction. Hey, we need to start writing down quotes from Dr. Webb.
No.
She say,
the Webb Chronicles. I like it.
Y'all know what?
Do you want to be right, or do you want to have a relationship?
I am absolutely not the first person to say that. Y'all know you hear those good little nuggets from time to time. You like, you know what? That was for me.
You right.
I received that.
You right. I heard it today.
Who doesn't like to be right? That's what I'm saying. Who don't like to be right? But when it comes down to
when I get one and they get published in the school newspaper, be like, Shake, got that from our conversation, because I'm gonna get. I love it.
Listen, and I'm gonna say to God be the glory, because somebody needs to hear that, and I'm gonna keep it moving.
You never know who need to hear it.
Yep.
So I've noticed we've been talking a lot about leadership, and we've been talking about culture, right? And by this being my second year here, if we gonna just be transparent, right? If we talking about raw truth, real talk, right?
Right.
When I took the job here, people like, hey, man, you're not afraid to go into Sam Houston, because I'm from a little small country town. I don't live here in Houston. And I was like, no, I'm not. But what I'm saying was, it was a bad stigma tied to the school. Mm-hmm. So, and when I got here, I realized it's not what people thought it was. Sam Houston has this problem just like every other school has their problems. But my question to you is, staff and students are watching closely. If you could send any message, what message would you send for the first 90 days?
Tied to culture?
By culture, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it's important for us all to agree why we're at school every day, and that is to learn.
Yes.
That is the first message that I would want to send. Why are we here? We're here to learn. What does that mean? I think that means that for staff, they have to feel equipped and supported in their role as teachers, as educators. Hey, I'm here to help you, etc. which means they need ample time for planning, they need support in their classrooms, they need their materials ready to go. Like, there needs to just be a clear system for staff to feel like they can be successful in why they were hired, which is to be here to teach. At the same time, I think our kids need to understand that this school could be an opportunity for you to have a better or different future than you envision for yourself, right? But that is really going to be contingent upon how much effort you put into your own success. You are here to learn. Should you have fun some of the time? Absolutely. But the real reason that you come here is because someone decided a long time ago, schools, there need to be a place where we can all come to get the information that we don't yet have, right? That doesn't mean that it has to be a negative space. That doesn't mean that it has to be, a place where people don't feel safe, or where people feel like they have room to talk about the negativity or the negative incidents that have occurred in the building, or outside of the building or whatever. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose is for you to learn and grow and get better. How can we all work together to make sure that that's happening? We have to agree upon the reason we're here, and it is to learn. So if there was a message I would want to send, let's just stick to the why. Let's stick to the mission. We're here to learn and get better and grow. And there's going to be a lot of things that we all need to kind of adjust to, a standard we need to all be trying to meet as adults and as students to get there. But is it possible? Absolutely. It really just comes down to how much we want it and how much we're willing to work together to achieve it.
I love it. I love it. Coach, you got anything down there?
And look, I'm excited. I'm just ready. I'm ready.
So since we got you here, they always say when the expert is, see, the reason you're doing most of the talking here today, not because we don't want to talk to you, but they say that when the expert is in the room, you're supposed to be quiet.
Okay.
So since you're the expert, it's one thing that we want to know. What is one misconception, if there is any, that people you think have about principles that you would like to clear up? So you got to be careful here, because now you're not only speaking for yourself, you're speaking for all the principals. What's one misconception you think the general public have about principles that you can clear up today?
Well, first let me say I don't speak for everyone on this podcast. I literally am only sharing my opinion as a regular person who happens to be an educator. So I'm not trying to speak for everybody.
Well played.
I will say,
Coach.
One thing that I had to learn in my experience in education is that principals are not necessarily meant to be problem solvers. I think sometimes, and again, I've been guilty of this myself. We go to leadership, we go to the principal, and we say like, "Hey, we have this thing, it needs to be fixed." And what I think a good principal would do is ask some questions first, not make a decision, not try to fix it, because then they'll spend their whole day trying to fix people's problems, and that's really not my job. My job is not to fix problems. My job is to understand where we are and what we have going on, and then help us all get on the same page about how we can probably get there. So I think that is maybe a misconception that people have, is that it's the principal's job to fix everything, and it's not. It's our job to come together as a campus community and figure out like what can we do that will probably make the experience that students are having here a little bit better. One small incremental change at a time. And again, are we focused on the main thing, which is the teaching and the learning that goes on here? So
could we say basic job of a principal, cast the vision, implement systems, and make sure collaboration is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty general approach to it, but yes, I do think that if you're going to lead a group of people to anything, you have to have a good sense of like where you're trying to go and how you're going to get there. I also, again, I think if you're going to, from what I've learned, I think if you're going to be effective, you have to be a listener. You have to really try to seek to understand what's going on here. How can I bring people together to make it any more effective? And again, don't forget, like, what is the main thing? What are we here to do? What is the mission right now? It is this thing. We're just trying to have, a positive environment here for our kids, but also a space where there is consistent and effective learning happening. If it's just those things, then just try to keep everybody's eye on that prize instead of like, in education, we have a lot of distractions.
Yes.
Try to keep those distractions to a minimum for people as best you can. And help your people feel empowered. When there's a problem, you can solve it. You got it. I trust you. I believe in you. You can do it. And most of the time, I don't have time to do it myself. So,
So
you know,
you
how
ain't
can I
got no
help
choice.
you?
Yeah.
How can I help you help you?
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a great leader. And I'll tie that into the coaching sense. It's, to me, and going into year 20, whatever, it's almost easier to coach the kids than it is to coach the coaches. It's getting to the point where, you know, I'm having to do more coaching of the coaches because, you know, coaching wasn't like it was when I first came in. You know, it was a set of rules that everybody had to go by. Like you almost like being hazed. You know, when you came in your first year, you had to do X, Y, Z. You know, do the chores, do whatever. You know, you knew what your expectations were. Now they're coming in and they're coming in from a different lens. Like some of the guys that we got to hire that's on the staff now, like they didn't have to go any of the stuff that we going through. So I feel like they don't get to get the full grasp of the coaching realm. So I see I'm having to coach the coaches. Like, hey, look, we still have a job to do inside the building, but this job here is important too. And I need to show you how you can tie it all together because contrary to what you think, my personal opinion, being a fabulous educator, because I feel like I can knock it out of the park in the classroom when I was in the classroom, is a coach is probably one of the best teachers because they can take any life experience and tie it into what we trying to do and get kids to accomplish on a field or a court. And if you can do that on a field or a court, how you can't do it in the classroom? It's all about relating and making relationships.
Yes, sir.
There's something that you said in there that I kind of want to touch on a little bit because I've made this mistake myself. I think sometimes when we come in a situation as leaders, we have these, we fall into the trap of assuming or believing that people know.
Right.
And I have just learned, no.
Right.
Just come in, blank slate, assume we don't know, and even if we do know, maybe we don't know in the way that I think we should know, right? So it's really about, for me, I've just had to learn as someone that tries to lead other people, yes, trust that they are professional, trust that they are going to do the things that they're supposed to be doing, and if you want them to meet a certain expectation, you're going to have to state that and be clear about it, be consistent about it, and then coach them through it, right?
I've seen you do that since you've been here. Like, you know, it's like, not taking nothing from the previous administration whatsoever, but it's like when you get a new leader and you don't know what to expect, it's kind of like, okay, let's see what we finna get into. And I'm always going to observe before I make a judgment on anything. And it's kind of like, I sat back and I watched and I listened and I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Because it's like our styles are so similar till it's kind of like, am I looking at the female version of myself? I'm going to ask you so many questions because I want you to tell me the answer. I know the answer, but I want you to be able to tell me the answer. Then I want you to think back. He asked me them questions because he wanted me to tell the answer. Not because, he could have told me the answer. He wanted me to figure it out. And I'm watching you every day. The more and more I get to interact with you, like, she's just going to pull this out of me. And it's just going to make me a better, person, coach, educator going forward. And I'm all for it. I'm ready. Like I said, I'm fired up.
Number one, clarity is kind. The more clear you are, the more kind you are, because then people don't have to walk around being uncertain or confused. Like, nope, this is the expectation, and we're gonna that's where we're gonna be at, right? But the other piece is what happens in those relationships or with those professional people when you're not available.
Right.
Now what? It's not about me giving you an answer. It's about me reminding you, you're already great. You already got it. You maybe need a confidence boost, or you maybe need someone to help you structure that so it looks professional, right? Yes. He can tell you about that later on. But the point is, I'm not always going to be readily available to you, so I just want you to believe and trust. You can already do it, and I already believe in you. Let me just help you remind yourself of that is what I'm trying to say.
I love it. So
when you sent that corrective email,
it was corrective. Like, yes. It was a coaching. Hey, maybe try it this way next time.
Coaching is correction.
You're
and
right.
I loved it.
You're right.
And I loved it. And when I saw it, I couldn't do nothing but smile.
You should explain so people are like, what?
So I sent the outlook. It was my first day back, coming back from a few days off from out of town from a coaching clinic, and she gave me a directive to do, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it done. And I'm like doing 1,000 things, and I say, oh, I gotta send this email out before I walked out my office. And I literally went there and just typed it, pressed send. Well, I proofread it and pressed send. I was like, okay, ain't no misspellings. Sent it. And boy, not even 4 minutes later, I get this message of this. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. And I know better, but you know.
I sent him a message back because he had already sent it to everyone. Right. And so I emailed him back and I was like, hey, the next time when you're communicating with everyone, you may want to just have this spacing, these bulleted points.
Proofread, please,
underline their action steps,
Yes.
because you gave them a lot of information in this email and it just needs to be structured a little bit better. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing this, by the way. I appreciate it. But even that small thing, even that matters to me. As a leader, this is what I want to see, right? But he doesn't know that because we hadn't had that conversation yet. So it was, I wish I could have said that to him before. When you send out information, this is how I want it to look with the staff, right? He had to hear that after the fact, which wasn't very kind. It would have been more kind if I had been clear ahead of time, you know?
Right.
So, but I think that that's part of what you said. Coaching is correction. That is my responsibility as a leader to like set things up in the way that I want them to go. And I appreciate that he has been like super receptive because we've had a lot of conversations since I got here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love him.
So what I'm getting from y'all is we empower, we don't handicap. We empower and we don't handicap.
I definitely feel empowered. Definitely.
Hey, so since then, hold on. Let me see. So I'm being a little messy now. Let me stir the pot.
Oh, Lord.
How many bad emails you just sent that wasn't the action highlight?
Since that?
Since that.
I haven't sent any emails. Have not had to send any emails. But anything else I've been doing, I've been very mindful of, you know, making sure it looks the way it's supposed to look. And I know that. I was taught that. But like I said, you know, you're 21 and you kind of like, man, look, I got things to do. I got so many things to do. And it's kind of like, nope, you know better. You know better, so you got to do better. And I took it on chin. I love it. Keep me on my toes.
Y'all heard it here first. Dr. Webb corrected Coach Shake, and now he's scared to send an email. Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it. He said it's on camera. It's on camera. Y'all heard it. So we're going to send him to counseling.
That was an interesting take on that whole situation.
We're going to get some counseling for him because we need those emails sent. So y'all make sure y'all support Coach Shake. Y'all come talk to him, give him an encouraging word. Let him know that we'll help him with the emails.
I'm trying really hard.
Look, she's still encouraging you over here.
I'm excited. I'm telling you.
Doing a good job.
All right, I got the final question for today. Okay. It's going to be a little bit more personal. This podcast is about hard truths and growth. And now I just want to make this question just more personal. What's one challenge you had to overcome as a leader that makes you like a fit for where you at now? Like what was
a line you had to cross?
What's a line you had to cross to make you the best fit of where you at right now, or to handle the load of what you have right now?
Yeah. This is a very tough but good question, and I'm not really sure how to answer it, but I'm gonna do my best. So
y'all see the critical thinking there? Y'all see that?
Yes. The previous campus that I was at was an elementary school, and I was the principal there for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, I think. And that was my first principal job. Before that, I had been in high school my whole career, secondary my whole career, 6th through 12th grade. And I had a goal for where I wanted us to reach. I really wanted us to have certain data coming out of that school year, et cetera. And we didn't hit the mark. We didn't hit where I wanted us to hit. I still think we did great work. We did a great job. I left the school better than I found it, right? But the reality is I didn't get as far as I wanted to get. I didn't make it to that place that I wanted to make it, where I fully believed, like, we're going to hit this, we're going to make it. And I kept telling my staff that too. And I know they have a great principal there now. That team is going to keep moving that school forward. But I think if you're talking about a line or a challenge that I had to overcome that I think got me ready for this is I had to just recognize that sometimes you're going to walk away from things and they're going to feel unfinished.
Story of my life.
That doesn't mean that you did a bad job. That doesn't mean that you didn't give it everything you had. That doesn't mean that you're ineffective. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that sometimes you were the starter. Someone else is going to come and be the finisher of that thing. You got to be humble, and you got to let it go when it's time to let it go. There's only one person that provides increase, when things get planted and when things get watered. There's only one person that makes things grow, and that's God. So if I'm somebody that planted the seed, if somebody comes behind me and waters that seed, fine. Our work is fine as long as it's to glory him, because he's going to be the one that provides the increase, right? So you might walk away feeling like, I didn't do enough, I could have done more, I wish I could see where that kid ends up, I wish I could see how great that teacher is going to be, I wish I could see that program through to fruition, or whatever. It could be any of those things, but you did what you were supposed to do while you had stewardship over it. And sometimes that has to be enough, even though you feel like you're going to walk away and it's going to be unfinished. What does that mean for me here? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I just feel like this is such a great opportunity, and I keep on saying that I'm just so humbled to be here, because I am. I just know that where we are at this time in education, things move very quickly, and I'm just thinking about all of the things happening in our kids' lives right now. I don't know what I'm going to be called to do. I know I'm committed to being here. I'm committed to doing a good job. I'm committed to making sure that I'm modeling what I want to see other people do. But it's possible that somewhere down the line, I'm not going to be able to finish what I start. And that has to be okay with me. I have to say, that's okay. While I'm here and with what I'm doing, I'm going to give it everything that I have and trust that, again, God's going to provide the increase on that thing.
I love it.
Legacy.
So I don't even really want to talk after that. I really just want to end the podcast.
Legacy.
But I want to add this. So it seems as if no matter what, no matter how things work out, we have a job here. The job is to either plant something, water what we plant, but also too, I think people don't talk about how sometimes you gotta uproot some things that's not good in my garden. Some things have to be taken out so I can plant the good things that's in there. I gotta pull the weeds so I can make space for the good things I need to plant. So in all, I know it's gonna be planting, watering, uprooting, replanting, but all what you say is God who gives the increase. So, and I love it that increase is with or without us, as long as planting and watering is going on. So.
Right, because if it's one thing that don't change, it's him.
Yes, ma'am.
We can do anything and everything we think we want to do, but when it comes down to it, we all have somebody that we answer to, and for me, that's God. So I'm just trying to stay in right relationship and favor with him, and I trust everything else is going to fall in line.
Yes, ma'am. Coach Shake, you got anything?
Won't he do it?
Hey, we thank y'all today. We thank you, Dr. Webb, for joining us today, taking time out your busy day to come give us some educational preaching
Busy day.
today. Viewers, listeners, we thank y'all. See y'all next time.
Hey, one more thing before we go. Hey, can we have you back in about 6 months?
I would love to come back. This
She really want to come back before 6 months. You stressed it out too
No.
I want to let her get her feet wet and come back and give a State of the Union address 6 months later. And then we're going to close it out with the end of the year, how she felt at the end of the year. Because that's what it's all about. Like I want this to be something we can always come back and look at. Hey, man, look, this is what we started.
Yeah.
Look what we got to in 6 months. Look what we got to in the end of a school year. And it's just, all positive. Because I can't see no negative about what you got going on. Because this is the way it should be. And that's all you want when you want to come to work.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity and y'all just allowing me to sit and have an informal conversation with you. So thank you very much. And I can't wait to work with everyone.
Yeah, it's like we can't speak for everybody else in the building. But what I can say, you have the full support, no matter what decision you make. Even if it's a decision not in our odds and not in our favor and it requires more work from us, you have the full support from us.
Thank you.
You have the full support from the coaching staff.
And more than you know.
Yeah, you have the full
more
support.
than you know.
So just want to let you know that. We thank y'all. I want to tell y'all today, the line has been drawn in the sand, and we want to encourage you not to stay on this side, but to cross